Hello, Wankers.
What's up, Wankers?
Howdy, Wankers. Guenther, give us your they were making all these guys do their southern accents. We got to hear a little bit of your Texas accent.
How are y'all doing, guys?
Yes.
Honestly, better than Charles Leclerc's. Way better than Charles Leclerc's.
Which doesn't mean a lot, though.
No. Charles Leclerc said lights out and away we go, but he said it like he was like a 50s reporter. See, lights out and away we go. See,
Yeah. Lights out, lights out, lights out. Hey, I live in North Carolina. I should be able to know. Yeah.
You're exposed to it.
Yeah.
You got no
Every
excuse.
day. Every day, every moment, So.
Oh,
And you love it.
Day.
You love it. You
Oh,
love
yeah.
it.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be here, Matt,
That's right. Escaping his reality on the internet with us. But everyone, this is Vanka Hours, brought to you by BetMGM. We've got so much to cover this week. We've got Charles's win. We've got the Max and Lando battle. We got the Stewards throwing their hat into the ring. Liam Lawson versus Fernando Alonso. Red Bull's ride height. Everything's going on. Let's start. Guenther, where are we starting? This weekend was full of stuff.
I think we start with the win for Ferrari. They 1-2. Unexpected, amazing, very cool, and never in doubt, never at risk or anything, just like a red machine, from the beginning to the end, except qualifying.
Right. A red machine that didn't bring any upgrades to Austin.
What I continue to tell you, these upgrades are overrated. It's always overrated. Oh, we have an upgrade. Yeah, that especially this year doesn't mean that you go faster. Some people would wish they wouldn't bring them, wouldn't have brought them. Sorry.
Some people say that, we're bringing upgrades, and other people, when they say, we're going to just dial in our upgrades, we're going to optimize our upgrades, right? What does that mean?
That's an excuse. When it didn't work the first time around, you need to keep the hope up. I try to explain your racing. The next race will always be better. If you have a shit race, you say the next one will be all right.
So when you hear, we're gonna focus on our current upgrades, optimizing those upgrades, like that means nothing. Doesn't mean anything.
It's just normal work. Try to find the balance of the car.
I see.
Yeah,
I see. It's just licking your finger and sticking it out into the wind once again.
Hoping to get lucky.
So do you think that Ferrari was lucky by not bringing upgrades? Do you think that maybe Fred was like, these upgrades aren't going to be all that, so I'm going to stick with what we have?
No, I think this year, now bringing upgrades, so many people bring upgrades and they make so little difference. And sometimes it's better what where you know exactly where you stand. And the strange thing for me is like this year is from racetrack to racetrack, different cars are fast and some are getting all of a sudden slower. I mean, if you think back now, the Ferrari was pretty good on some of the fast racetracks, like Austin, but then they were fast also like in Monte Carlo. Maybe Monte Carlo, it was a little bit the Charles Leclerc effect as well, right. That they were fast. But I didn't expect them to be this good here, or in Austin.
Yeah, it seemed like this was a track that they wouldn't be good at given the Baku and the... it seemed like street tracks were more their bag, and then all of a sudden they're on, one of the iconic purpose-built tracks, and they were the team to beat.
They were the team to beat, except in qualifying. They couldn't keep up in qualifying, but,
But there's a lot of slow corners. There's a lot of slow corners on that track, though, right? So it wouldn't necessarily be a complete outlier track for them specifically.
No, not an outlier, but it's one of these things... They were fast in all the sectors, So right. They were very good in all the sectors. So, but I didn't expect them to be this fast.
Well, you put. I think when you predicted your podium, you.
I didn't predict anything.
No, people were giving you a lot of credit. You got 2 out of 3 right.
Yeah, but I put them on the podium. The Ferrari.
Yeah,
I didn't put them on a win. Because I thought Lando.
You're too hard on yourself.
And certainly not a 1-2. A 1-2 exactly. For Ferrari. An impressive 1-2.
Now, do you think Ferrari has a shot? They're like all of a sudden Red Bull's right in their sights. Do you think Red Bull might drop this championship place to Ferrari?
I would think so, because the problem with Red Bull is that they have only one driver scoring. I mean, and
with the Mexico Grand Prix coming up, you're going to say that?
I'm not going to Mexico, so I'm safe. If you guys are saying at the level way that you said it, so you have to be scared, I'm not going. I'm nowhere to be seen in Mexico.
Well, because Guenther is mentally weak, and he needs a break. We're all mentally weak.
We'll get to the mentally weak moment down the line. We're not going to start there, but okay. So you mentioned Red Bull, the driver situation over there. There's a big week because their newest test driver, Liam Lawson, popped back onto the scene, took a 60-place grid penalty, and still wound up in the points. What do you make of Liam Lawson pop onto the scene? You think this was a first of a few races that might prove to Red Bull that he's the guy for next year?
Yeah, he did a very good job. I mean, but everybody knew from what he did last year when he replaced Danny, for a few races, that he was pretty good. Yeah. It's one of these things. So I'm not really surprised by him. I'm surprised a little bit because where he started and then ending up in the points is a big achievement, So, but everybody, I wouldn't say knew, but everybody expected him to be there and about with Yuki, because he was last time around. So, it's unfortunate. I mean, he's now fortunate. He will be in one of the Red Bull cars, in one of the 4 Red Bull cars next year. So he can be quite relaxed about his future.
Well, he didn't have some things to be relaxed about because he made an enemy this weekend.
Yeah, an old guy.
Fernando Alonso.
Yeah.
What do you make of kind of that dynamic? Liam, it seemed to me it was pretty clean. I mean, it was hard, but clean racing in the sprint race. And Fernando Alonso took some umbrage with it and was not shy about expressing it.
Yeah, with the Alpha Tauri. Exactly. Yeah. So,
that's right.
Yeah. I think, put yourself in Fernando's shoes now, Yeah. I mean, they must have the second worst car in the moment, I think it looks like, after the Sauber, whatever it is called, steak, kick car, they are the worst car, So, I mean, for sure he's frustrated and somehow tries to get rid of his frustration because there's nothing else left for him, So, I mean, the car is just not doing what he wants him to do. And Fernando is a fighter. He wants to have, a bite at it, and he cannot. So anything, you're already wound up. And then this young kid, puts you in a place where, I think if a Mercedes or Ferrari is doing it to him, he would not say anything. But there's this young kid in a Seacoast, an Alpha Tauri, in a Visa Cash-Up car, basically. Yeah. He gets pissed.
Have you ever been on the other side of...
I got pissed a lot of times, yeah.
No, but has he ever been pissed at you? Is it scary?
With Fernando specifically.
I don't think he was ever pissed at me,
You're just so agreeable. Who is the scariest person to have pissed at you, in your experience?
I'm actually not afraid of anybody.
You're not afraid of anybody? Even when Conor McGregor came down, you weren't scared of him?
No. I was respectful. I made sure I don't upset him,
Right.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah. Conor McGregor, I was very polite. I was whatever you want, whatever you say, I will be all right with everything, Because...
What about like some of the old school guys, the Bernie Ecclestones, the Nicky Laudas? Did Nicky ever get pissed? Did Nicky ever get...
Not with me. No, Nicky was a good person. I think it's more like, Bernie could get pissed at you, and then that he would take revenge at you somehow. He wouldn't, but you would pay the price for it if you pissed him off somewhere. And sometimes you maybe even don't realize that you pissed him off, But he was quite adamant what he wants, but not to be afraid of.
Well, it seems like what Alonso told Liam. He's like, I'm going to get you at some point. I'm going to do something. And then when he overtook him at the beginning of qualifying, Liam said he told me he was going to do something.
At least he took it with a sense of humor as well, which is good. Which is good to get over it, Oh, he did it now, so I hope he's done with it,
Yeah,
so,
got it out of
right. I hope that was it. That's it. That's all you had for me, Alonso.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take that.
Exactly.
What's the worst? I remember we used to, when we were kids. you'd punch a tough kid, and you'd be like, okay, you can hit me back. He's like, no, Not now. When you least expect it. And that was always terrifying. You're waiting for the shoe to drop. So
are you still scared of some of the guys? Which
I'm scared. Honestly, Guenther, I'm really scared that I was 4 minutes late. I'm terrified.
But you calm down now.
Oh yes, I'm terrified.
Exactly. Don't worry, Matt. He'll get you at some point.
He'll get me at some point.
Next time when I'm late, I say, "Hey, Matt, payback time."
Yes.
You're never late, Guenther. You're always very punctual. But hold on,
try to.
Before we move away from Liam, I thought it was pretty impressive that he, day one of school, he pisses off the big bad bully of Fernando Alonso, and he didn't back down. That he stood his ground, and he still had an impressive weekend. I think that type of energy coming from a vet like that could shake a young driver, but it didn't seem to shake him at all.
I also wanted to add, first off, it seems like there's a lot of young kids coming up and showing up the older guys. Do you notice? Do you ever look around the paddock and you see older drivers, more experienced drivers, richer drivers, who have their own brands, their own books, their own, entourage or whatever, and you're like, oh man, they're not as locked in as like Liam Lawson, who's got no team, no brand, no nothing. He just eats, sleeps, shits racing. I mean, do you notice that around the paddock? You're like, oh man, this guy, he's got too much stuff going on.
I wouldn't say it, but the young kids, they're coming in, and I'm as impressed as you guys are with the young people coming in, but also Liam Lawson coming in this confident. That's the right way to be. You have to be like this. Otherwise, you do not make it in there. If you come in there and are scared, because this guy is a bad guy, is a mean guy. Hey, I want to make my career. You stand up, you try to be fair and correct with everything, Don't try not to piss him off, which actually he achieved, Liam. But I think, as you said, now he showed that I'm not here to be messed around with, to be fucked around with, basically, I'm here to race F1, I belong here.
I think a lot of people were scared of rookies because of, the rookies that came through Williams. And honestly, I think a lot of this was your fault, the young people that you had at Haas was really, people were like, well, maybe we shouldn't do with rookies. We shouldn't have rookies. And it was you were personally responsible for the logjam.
I apologize for it, I maybe picked the wrong ones then, because, hey, we all make mistakes in life, So,
That's right. Where was Franco Colapinto in 2021 for you?
Yeah.
Formula 4, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Formula Regional. Yeah, whatever.
Now they have, but it's like now there's all these good drivers, right? All these guys that are starting to prove themselves. You got Liam, you got Franco, Ollie Behrman looks good, and Red Bull's maybe slipping to third in the championship, and they're like, we're good. We're good with what we have. I mean, what do you think? They have to have a rationale behind either they don't really care about the constructors or there's something else we're not seeing. Tell me what we're not seeing.
If I just would know, I don't know. I mean, I told you guys before the summer break that I think that they will change drivers, and they didn't change Checo. And again, Checo is the same but they changed Danny, So I don't really know what is happening there, but I cannot be sure, but I'm pretty sure that next year there will be somebody else in the Red Bull car, because, as you said, they can not care about the championship. First of all, is image. I mean, which is a lot more important for Red Bull than money, because they've got money. They don't need money. But finishing second or third in the championship, it's between 10 and 20 million difference. And, having and not having it, I think even Red Bull, even if they have enough money to do everything, they have it, So I don't really know why they don't want to change. But maybe Max said, I quite like Checo as a teammate. So
they keep Max happy.
Max happy, yeah.
Right now, Red Bull's at 504 points. Ferrari's at 496. It's an 8-point difference. I mean, that is nothing. Nothing, given the swing. Here's the question: the more long shot question, because to me right now, Ferrari's got second place in the bag. The question is, McLaren's at 544, Ferrari's at 496. Is there a shot that Ferrari actually could potentially win the constructors?
Very difficult because McLaren is racing with 2 cars and two good guys as well. So it's a lot of points, you know. So and Ferrari is a little bit more up and down. Ferrari sometimes are nowhere and sometimes they're on top. While McLaren, even if they're nowhere, they're second or third, you know, all the time. If like this weekend, I mean, the McLaren was, in my opinion, the second fastest car, but obviously they didn't get enough.
Well, let's get into it.
Yeah, now.
Yes.
For the McLaren, you've been the resident optimist. You've been cheery, bullish Guenther on McLaren, saying that this championship is wide open. Is it still wide open? How wide open is it?
It got a little bit more narrow now.
Is it as narrow as the space that Lando left for Max Verstappen at the start? How wide are we talking here?
It's like I always said, Lando cannot make any mistakes, so the team is not allowed to make any mistakes, and they did it again, you know. So they continue to do it because I mean the start was very good, and then he got smarted out on turn 1. You know, this is a move that what you try in turn 1. You know that is the move to get by. You know, push you out, and the happy guy was Charles, which drove just on the inside. You know, he just took the best line, but the other ones were fighting. You know, so the other ones were fighting between them. But Lando should know that Max will try this maneuver. You know, so I don't know. And
it still feels like Lando thinks that like Max is going to race the good and decent way. He thinks that Max is going to race clean.
But we need to tell him it's not going to happen. Even if he's your mate, Max is not going to do that for you. You know, Max is a racer. He's an asshole when it goes to racing. You know, yeah,
totally.
You give him an inch, he'll throw you a mile.
And Max is concerned with like one thing and one thing only, which is beating Lando in a race.
Yes. Yeah.
So if he has to throw them both off track at the start and hand Charles the win, then he'll do that.
Oh yeah, he's happy. He comes out on top because he is thinking just on a championship in the moment.
How much game planning does that turn 1? How much game planning goes on in the back rooms there? You think they're planning that out? He's like, okay, so I'm going to try to get the inside. I'll throw him wide, and I don't even care how many cars come through.
No, I don't think there's game planning there. There's just like, because you don't know what the other guy is doing, so you just react, and the good racer has always an answer to whatever happens, you know. It needs to be, if you make a plan for it and the plan doesn't work out, what you do next, you just need to live it. But that's why I always say, the start is that you cannot plan a start. You don't know how good you get off the line. You don't know how good your opponents get off the line. It's just one of these things. You just wing it, you know.
There's been a lot of talk about Lando starts this year. He's, had the rep of not having he's had all these bad starts. Now in the sprint, he has a great start. He had the Charles Leclerc start. He pulled that same move that Charles pulled and gained a bunch of places. But then when it came to the actual start where he is leading, like, how do you not fully cover? Because he had a good, he had the room to get over there. He had a good start. Yeah. It wasn't like if he had moved to the left, he would have clipped Max. He had that full car's length. He could have gotten all the way over to the side, but then he just didn't. And then all of a sudden he's behind Max and he doesn't have a chance to win the race. What do you make of that?
It's just, I don't know if his nerves play a role in here. I mean, the start was good, as you said, because he had problems with starting, getting off the line. But that was not a problem. He had how he turned into turn 1. He tried to have the fastest line, and obviously Max said, "I'm not having that one. I push you out there, and your fastest line will not be the fastest line." You know, and that is what he did. I mean, as I said, maybe he said, "I'm not going left in turn 1 or keep on the inside a little bit more because that's maybe not the fastest line." And he was worried that somebody could be faster, having a better traction out of the turn. I don't know what he was thinking, but obviously he got outsmarted by Max, which just pushed him out.
Vankas, as you know, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we are using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks. And if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here is how it works. You download the BetMGM app and you sign up using the bonus code DADDY, cause we're fun. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure that you use the bonus code DADDY when you sign up. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your first $1,500 first bet offer today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY for New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Indiana. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code DADDY and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. Now back to the show.
Speaking of pushing out, we should get into, like, there was a lot of shoving off.
Yes.
What do you think of these? What do you think of these? First of all, let's talk about what do you think of these rules of engagement in general? That you know, if you're behind at the apex, you have no rights. If you're ahead at the apex, you have rights on the outside. But you know, the guy on the inside can just kind of shove you off.
You know how rules of engagement worked. Until you're a friend, they're fine, and once somebody has an advantage, they're not fine anymore because everybody has got an opinion about an engagement rule because it is not clear defined. It's an engagement rule. It's not a clear defined what to do. Exactly, yeah. So I think they cannot work. Yeah, we can agree. It's a short-term fix, but it's not a solution. I mean, you need to have clear rules, and the rules need to be the same for everyone to start off with. If it is a rule, because engagement is like, the stewards cannot work with engagement, an organization, a judge, for example, could not work with on a base of rules of engagement. Right. You know, it's like, it doesn't work in real life. Okay, so it doesn't work in racing.
Guenther, I think that this podcast should become the main arm of your campaign for FIA president next year. Mm-hmm. So we're announcing you now. You're running for FIA president.
Don't say that because I continue to tell you. Then I get no pass anymore. I cannot go to F1 races anymore.
It's too late, but it's too late. I've nominated you.
Yeah, okay, you nominated.
I've nominated you.
Some men have greatness thrust upon them, you know, and that's going to have to be
We have two mail-in ballots right now locked up, and I'm sure all our fans can write in mail-in ballots.
That's right.
And I think that, you know, now that your campaign has been launched, I want to know how you would change as FIA president, because that there's an election next year, the most important election in our lifetime, 2025 FIA president. How you, as president, would change the rules of engagement, Guenther?
I wouldn't change the rules of engagement. I would change
terrible
how it is.
Start to a campaign. I wouldn't.
No.
No.
Not the engagement. I would make clear rules. With what I would change it, you know, what I'm saying since years.
Yes.
You know, in my opinion, it needs to be, the stewards need to be permanent people, you know, or some of them. Mm-hmm. You know, you have got 4 stewards, 2 could be permanent, 2 could be on a rotational basis. So you have got a little bit of independence in there. If somebody sees something which shouldn't be right, he can say it. But no other sport at this level has got, like IndyCar has got permanent stewards. NASCAR has got I don't think they have stewards. They've got race control, and nobody even knows who it is who makes the rules. MotoGP has got permanent stewards. You know, everybody's got. I mean, the referees in football and soccer, they are professionals. They do it for a living. They are paid to do it. You know, and in F1 they don't have it.
Why not? Why not?
It's I would call it. It comes from the past, from history. It's antiquated. And sometimes you need to make a change, in my opinion. If you look at the sport, where it was, you don't even know because you didn't watch it 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Maybe it was possible to do. But these days, with the size of the sport and the professionalism going around in every little aspect and the stakes and what is at stake here, you know, the money, the fame, or careers, a lot of livelihoods are at stake. I think that would be the only solution. And I understand the FIA doesn't want all permanent stewards, so mix it up. Make 2 and 2. There is 4 people there. And then the people which think it should be, you know, rotational and voluntary people, they still can be part of it. But you have got somebody. But the stewards, they should also be part of defining new regulations because they know, they learn how difficult it is with the rules, how they are written, to make a fair decision. So they could be part because they can work during the week on that to make the rules better. They can help the race director. That would be my idea.
Guenther, I have another great idea. Okay, so our campaign,
not another one.
That was a great podium. That was a great podium speech. That was a great pulpit speech.
Campaign.
So that was a great way to kick off the campaign. It wasn't quite the escalator kickoff, but it was pretty good. Now I think obviously Mohammed bin Sulayem, he's the incumbent. What do we think of challenging him to a debate?
and how do I need to come out?
Yeah.
Right. Oh. Is that your Trump?
Yeah.
Is that your Trump?
Wow, multiple impressions from Guenther this episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Can't get this anywhere else, people. You can only get this at Vanka Hours on the Red Flags podcast channel.
But it seems like the stewards don't get paid, but it seems like there's money involved with like any other political campaign. There's money involved in getting control of it. Like, what is the election process? How did Mohammed bin Sulayem become elected? Because I need to know as your campaign manager. I'm your campaign manager.
Yeah, are you already fundraising for me?
That's right.
If you start the fundraising.
Yes.
I don't actually know how they. I think because Mohammed was vice president, I think how it works. You propose yourself, and then the FIA members worldwide vote for you.
But how do you get the votes? How do you get the votes? Is it who has the best coif? Who has the best hairstyle? I mean, that's what I'm seeing from him. How do you campaign? How do you campaign? I need to be instructed on how to campaign for you.
Right, yeah. I don't know. You phone all the presidents of the national clubs up. I think that is what you do.
And I take them to dinner. What do I do? Come on.
I don't know.
Whose palms I got to grease, Guenther?
I don't know. I never I never went for president. We have to find out. Obviously, this is all new to me.
Okay.
You elected me because you want to propose me. So you need to look into this, Matt. I mean, you had plenty of time on the last weekend while you were in Austin, just hanging out at all the nice hospitalities, eating and drinking. Instead of working. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's drop let's move away from the corruption charges.
From the campaign,
Okay, let's get on to what actually happened on track and the calls that were made, because there were conflicting. I think part of the thing that people are talking about and what was obvious was that one move was called one way, and then you saw a pretty identical move that was called another way, and one of those moves involved the championship battle and Lando losing points as opposed to balancing the point battle after the sprint. So, I mean, do you have an opinion as to like which of those penalties was correct? Because like Oscar Piastri was called for a penalty on the opposite way that Lando was called during the sprint race. So do you have an opinion?
George was called for a penalty.
George was called for a penalty. Sonoda was called for a
penalty.
And the opposite way that Lando's penalty was called. So do you have an opinion as to which of those was right, or does it just matter more so that like it's consistent? They say in baseball, right? When you choose, each umpire has a strike zone. They're all slightly different, but you got to be consistent. If this is a ball in inning 1, it's got to be a ball in inning 9. So that's what it's got to be. Is that your opinion?
For me, they were all wrong. For me, there was no penalty at all. It's racing,
Yeah.
So that is where it puts the stewards, because it is for the title fight. They all of a sudden are under pressure, because who cared about when Sunoco, who was he fighting with, got a penalty or not? I mean, nobody was really looking into it. Until it doesn't get to the title fight, there is never a polemic about it. And people get away with a lot. And as soon as it is with the leaders of the championship, we are all going back. This is like 2021. And that what it shouldn't be. In my opinion, none of this were justified. But then having complete different penalties, it's even worse. At least if they would have been consistent, they would say, as you said, this stewards decided this way, but they were inconsistent with themselves.
Right.
So
there's 4 stewards per race? That's how many?
Yeah, it's 4 stewards. It's normally the head of the stewards, the driver expert, the local guy, and I don't know what the 4th one from where he comes from. So that's that.
You can't win a campaign with that lack of research,
knowledge,
preparation.
It's crazy that they can't. They can certainly afford to have people that are paid to do this.
Is it cheap? Are they just being cheap?
No, I think it is historical more than cheap, historical tradition. Yeah, it's tradition. Yeah. The FIA has got the member clubs. They can elect some stewards which go to races, represent them, so they have got some skin in the game.
Right. So it's kind of like it's usually like a more well-off person who gets perks for doing it, and it's fun as opposed to
it's fun. I mean, if you don't get paid, it must be fun. Otherwise, why would you do it? Huh?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So we should go there.
Yeah.
We want to have fun and perks. So.
Yes. Yeah. Let me be the steward. I can do that. I could fuck up the same level probably.
I'm sure you can.
I'm not saying I could do better. I'm not saying I could do better, but I could piss everybody off the same level. Now, I know a lot of the FIA stewardship is to blame for this, but I gotta point some of the fingers at McLaren. I mean, you can't overtake off track. He overtook off track. I mean, and it seems like Lando obviously probably didn't want to try that again. He probably didn't want to go through that whole 10-lap thing again. But he was like, I was ahead at the apex, blah 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 blah, and McLaren's like, they're like his defense lawyers that he's paying. They're like, yeah, we believe that story. We'll defend you to the hilt on that story. When it seemed like Max was on older tires, they were degrading faster. The McLaren was better at that stint. Why didn't they just tell him, dude? Let's not leave this up to the stewards. Why don't you go back and pass him again?
And I don't know exactly what they said to him, but maybe they saw the penalties before for the other drivers, and they were under the impression the stewards will be consistent.
Right.
And then Max would have got the penalty because he pushed him off, So maybe they were thinking that one. I don't know. This is just a theory. I have no knowledge of anything else, but could be that one.
I mean, it feels like a better, it's everything in hindsight's 2020, but he had the pace. He was able to pull almost a 5-second gap to Max once he was once he was past him. So there was clearly pace there that he would have been able to, pass him given the tire differential there. But there's been all this, in the press, Helmut Marko has said that Lando is mentally weak. He said that he's mentally weak, how he preps, he can't eat before a race, X, Y, or Z. Zach Brown's obviously pushed back on that. But, this battle seemed great. Seems like they were going back and forth. But do you think that I don't think that Lando is necessarily mentally weak as much as Max Verstappen is mentally just like a
bully.
Brick house.
A bully.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree with that one. I think it's just Max. I don't think Lando, because if you're mentally weak, you wouldn't say what he said, that he cannot eat. I think some people, I know other people which before a race or big performance cannot eat,
Totally.
It's nothing. I don't
Bill
think
Russell
this is unusual.
would throw up before every game. I mean,
that's a classic.
Exactly.
Athletes often don't eat before performances.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I don't think that makes you mentally weak, and saying that he has got this nervousness, that shows that he's not mentally, what we call mentally weak. Obviously, he's nervous. I mean, I would be nervous to go to an F1 race when you play for the championship. But on the other side, you've got Max, which, I mean, he could do anything, and I don't think he's getting nervous,
He's playing video games right before. He's not really, he's unfazed. Now, I have a question about Helmut Marko kind of in general. As someone from the silent generation, he doesn't seem to shut the fuck up. I mean, why is he like me? He just can't control himself? You put a microphone in front of his face and he just has to say something? Or is there like a method to the madness? Like he's hoping he can rattle Lando. He's hoping that he can help his guy. I mean, he's Austrian. You're Austrian-ish. Can you explain him to me?
Hey! Do not put me in the same pot here. Wait a moment. So anyway, I think
you can understand. Listen, you can at least understand the of what he's saying.
No,
I mean we're all getting a translation.
Yeah. I understand what he's saying. So I think for sure he tries to rattle Lando. I mean that is for sure. It's one of the paths, but all the others, why he cannot shut up. I think We should actually try to get him on the podcast, and we could ask him that one.
I think he'd be an iconic guest. I mean,
Yes.
the guy loves to talk.
Exactly, he loves to talk. I mean, he would love to talk. He must love us, because he said, I'm always straight. We just ask him straight questions.
That's right.
I think we should make a pitch to get Helmut on our podcast.
Do you have any? Do you have any German, Austrian? Do you ever have any bromances with him? Because you're both from the similar areas, or not?
No. I mean, I speak with him. Obviously, I know him. I worked with him. So, but I mean, he's as difficult with me like he's with everybody else. Right. I don't think he really likes anybody. So it looks like, So, yeah. But that's not a bad thing. That's his decision. I'm fine with that. But no, it would be pretty cool to have Helmut Marko, because that would be a first. Has he ever been on a podcast?
I think he did.
I don't know. Jenny?
I don't know.
Can we research this?
I think maybe, if he has, it's been like maybe one. But I think that this would be a perfect place for him to, he's got a lot to get off his chest, so I think this would be. He
says, and he always just is straight, We don't want anything else.
I kind of,
honesty.
I was late to this one, but I think I might just be late for the whole thing and just miss it because I'm so scared. He seems scary. He seems scary.
We might let you guys just do it alone.
No. I need support, I need my campaign managers,
You're scared. You're scared too.
No, I'm not scared. I just need some help. Mentally
weak. Mentally weak.
Guenther Steiner needs help from his co-hosts. I mean, I think it's an interesting, though, dynamic of, there was this famous quote from Fernando Alonso when he came on the scene and was battling Schumacher. And I think it was in Australia, and they took a turn, and he said, after the race, he's got a wife and kids at home. I knew he was going to break early. He said that. He said they were going into a corner. Alonso took the corner. Schumacher backed off, and afterwards, Alonso said, I knew he would break. He's got a wife and kids at home.
And guess what Alonso still doesn't have 20 million years later? A wife and kids.
That's but he has got shitloads of money, and a good life, so he doesn't want to lose that one now.
Yeah.
But I think it's an interesting dynamic of like the mental chess that happens between the drivers. I think for a long time, when people try to say, why does Max do this? Why does Max, he always gets in these crashes with people. Why? And it's like, well, because when you do it, once that's your reputation, I don't back off. Then people are scared of you. And that's the reputation that he's built. And
for himself.
For himself. It's an interesting, you're watching it play out in real time. Max's reputation versus Lando's reputation. What do they bring to these types of things? And I think on some level, Lando still doesn't think that he still thinks Max is going to just like fight fair. And that's not what Max does.
I don't think he fights unfair. Otherwise, he would get a penalty. He fights hard. He fights for everything, And obviously, to get there, he had a few crashes. He needed to show who he is, fall out with a few people. It wasn't easy. Max didn't get in a F1 car, and everybody was respectful and scared of him. He needed to make a point, and I think he did that over his first years. When he was moving under braking, all that stuff, you remember that stuff,
Yeah.
He was critiqued a lot for that, but, and then the rules were changed, and that's now a thing, moving under braking. Can you do it? Can you not do it? And people still discuss it, what is it actually, But, that is how you look at boxers before they go into a fight. What are they doing?
I've always wondered this, Guenther. If you were Lando's, I'm now nominating you for another job. If you were Lando's driver coach, at what point would you advise him? You know what? It's time you get in a few crashes, right? It's time you fucking leave your foot in and crash because people think twice before they do things with Max Verstappen. People think twice before they do things with Yuki Tsunoda. I'm sure people think twice when they do things with Kevin Magnussen. They're like, oh boy, do I really want to get into it with this guy?
I don't think you can advise something to do that. He needs to come up with that himself. Just saying, go and crash into somebody. It's like, these are situations the same as you said at the start. You cannot plan, or how would I do the start? Because you don't know what the other ones are doing. You need to make this point somehow you say, enough is enough. I'm now rather crash than be second again, you know?
But that's what Lewis did in Silverstone. He was like, you know what? I'm just gonna stay here and we'll crash. And that, you know, he finally made Lewis in 2020. He didn't win, but he finally made that decision. He was like, you know what?
Stand my point, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But you cannot advise anybody to do that. They need to come up because that is being part of a race car driver, you know?
Right.
You know?
I mean, Senna, Suzuka, right? I mean, he said...
they all did it, you know.
They all did it.
Yeah.
Schumacher with Damon Hill, right?
They all did it. If you want to be a winner, you need to do it. You need to make a point, you know. And Lando, but you cannot tell them when to make the point. He needs to come up himself to do that, you know. I don't think you need any advice. If we know it, a professional race car driver should know it, huh? I mean, it's like...
Seems like Oscar Piastri knows it because after the race he said, you know, get these stewards out of here. Maybe we can handle this stuff like NASCAR, deal with it off track. He insinuated that the stewards should get out of here and let the boys fight.
I'm ready. I had a few fights. I paid even penalties, you know. I was the only idiot which got fined, you know. So,
wait, Guenther, you got into some fist fights?
No, not fist fights. No, just words. Okay. Just words.
Okay.
You know, just words.
You ever gotten into a fight, Guenther? Have you ever got, like when you were a kid, when you were growing up?
You think I was born like this?
That's an untouched face right there.
No one's ever punched you in the face?
No. People don't do that to me.
Okay. Wow.
Next question. Next question.
Good.
Okay.
Good. You're learning. You're learning. You're becoming a politician. Moving. You know comedy.
Exactly.
Right along.
Right into the campaign.
Vankas, specifically the male Vankas who listen and watch this pod. When you leave the house, it's phone, wallet, keys, and now, how does my hair look? But if you're experiencing hair loss, you may not be so confident when you step outside the door, and it's time to get that confidence back and restore your hair with Hims. Hims provides you with convenient and quality access to a range of hair loss treatments that work from the comfort of your couch. Hims makes treating hair loss simple with doctor-trusted options and clinically proven ingredients like finasteride and minoxidil that can regrow your hair in as little as 3 to 6 months. Choose from your personalized chewable, oral, spray, and serum treatments to find what works best for you. The process is simple and 100% online. There's no uncomfortable doctor visits. You know, they can be a little bit awkward. You just do it online and you get it done. You can start your free online visit today at hims.com/redflags. That's HIMS.com/redflags for your personalized hair loss treatment options. Once again, that's hims.com/redflags. Results may vary based on studies of topical and oral minoxidil and finasteride. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Okay, so there was a bit of drama this week. Red Bull's ride height. This little screw that they've got. This little, what do they call it? They call it
a bib.
A
bib. Like my grandmother at the dinner table, so she doesn't mess up her nice blouse.
Yeah,
she got a bib there. That I think, was it just McLaren, or did all the teams kind of come forward and say, "Hey, what's going on with that? What's going on with the Red Bull car over there?"
I think McLaren found it out, and then everybody jumped on the bandwagon as it normally happens, you know.
So the basics of it, if you don't know, for the people watching and listening, is that McLaren had this bib, little screw in the front of their car where if you turn it, you can adjust the ride height. Now, the accusation is that in Parc Fermé conditions, Red Bull might have been messing with this screw and adjusting the ride height. Red Bull says there's no way that happened. They brought in the FIA. They brought cameras in. They said, look how hard it is for us to even turn this screw, to mess with this bib. If we were going to do this during Parc Fermé conditions, someone would have seen it. That's totally what's happening. What Zach Brown has said is that, well, we can all adjust our ride height. We all have a way to adjust the front end of the ride height of our cars. Why is yours so hidden? Why hide it in the annals of your car if there's not something suspicious there? The FIA has cleared Red Bull. They said they don't think anything happened there. Guenther, what are your opinions on this whole situation?
I have no idea if they did it or not. Between qualifying and the race adjusted. But even if they did, it makes a difference. But does it make the car a winning car or a losing car? No. You in theory, you could run the car a little bit lower in qualifying, and then you lift it up so you don't wear the blank in the race. That is the idea behind it. So in qualifying you gain some speed because the car is a little bit lower, but you couldn't keep that low ride height because you wear the blank out and then you're disqualified. So that is what they are going to say. But I think sometimes, also if you tell a mechanic or an engineer, change this, it's illegal. There is people with ethic as well. They say, this is not what you do. I think you could adjust a lot of things between qualifying and race, but you don't do it. I mean, because too many people know, and sooner or later it will come out anyway, and then you're a cheater. And
wait, how do you enforce park from A? Is the car is rope put around the car? How do they ensure that no one messes with? Is it the honor system?
Honor system, and you've got a marshal standing.
System.
A marshal standing by the car all the time, but the marshal doesn't know if you take a shock absorber off, if you change something when you take it out. How can he know? It's like this, and there is always a camera on the car as well. Everything is filmed, in the uppers, but you cannot see that. As I said, could you do something if you're devious? Yes, you could do, but you need to be devious, and I think Formula One is too big for being devious, in my opinion. And can you make a change that really between qualifying and race, you can make a difference that you go and win, that you go and be in pole position and make the car even better for the race? Difficult.
Guenther, you're never going to become FIA president if you say everything's fine, it's regulated perfectly. It's not. You got to say it's a mess.
I wouldn't
everything
say
is a mess, and you're going to come in and you
clean
alone
it up.
can fix it.
But you're the only guy which wants me as a president. There's a lot of people which do not want me as a president.
Right now, the campaign's just begun.
Yeah. I'm already against the campaign.
In the comments, would you want to see Guenther as FIA president? Let's start this campaign.
At least we would have a little bit more fun, no?
Yes.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, let's get into our awards. Let's get into our Rockstar and Wanker for Austin, brought to you by Cash App. Guenther, who is your rock star for the Austin GP?
I think we don't have to even think about that one, huh? Ferrari. I mean, what they did, just like, take my hat off, Very good. Couldn't do any better.
Yeah, no upgrades, just showed
Nothing.
up.
Showed up, qualifying, mediocre, boom, the race, just go and win it.
1-2.
1-2.
Yeah.
And let those guys fight behind us.
Yeah.
But
they
fight, we laugh.
They didn't even show them on the television for,
No.
It was like, it was an afterthought. Oh, Charles Leclerc won because he had it so much in the bag.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was like, who won? Oh, Charles Leclerc won. Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Good news for Ferrari, yeah. So,
it was Verstappen-esque how much we forgot about him.
Yeah. I think Fred fell asleep on the pit wall. Oh, we are 1-2.
He looks like a sleeper. You think he's ever fallen asleep on a pit wall?
All of us have, I think,
You fallen asleep on a pit wall?
I don't know if I was asleep, but I got close to it. You tried to do an FP2 with a jet lag,
Okay, wait a minute. Did you know Fred? Do you know if Fred partied hard that night? Were you aware of any partying?
I have no idea. Again, I'm not informed. As a president, I should know.
Great.
Right.
No, that's a good one to duck. You're just focused on your campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go out on Sunday night, Guenther? Did you have a little?
No, I drove to San Antonio to get away from it. I had enough action during the week. I didn't need. I guess you guys went out for partying, huh?
We had a fun night Sunday night.
Yeah, we had a fun night.
We might have gone to Blind Pig and the piano bar. Apparently, Matt, that Max Verstappen closed down the Blind Pig. There was a bartender at the Blind Pig posted on TikTok saying he was yelling at everyone to leave because it's closing time. Everyone get the hell out of here. And there was one group that wasn't leaving, and he went, "All right, let's go." And then his manager was like, "No, don't not. They're okay. They're okay." And it was Max and like a group of 10
Max was in the Blind Pig. I didn't even see him.
Late night after we had left.
God damn.
This is why you stay out, because there's a chance that you could have partied with Max. Okay.
Max, yeah. All right.
That was our Rockstar of the Week. Guenther, who is your wanker for Austin?
I think that's a clear choice as well.
Say it.
Stewards. You cannot be inconsistent. You shouldn't be inconsistent.
And you should only throw your hat into the ring. You shouldn't be eager about throwing penalties.
Exactly. You shouldn't be eager to throw penalties. You should just throw your hat in the ring when it's appropriate, not just to do it.
And I'm Guenther Steiner, and I'm
running for president of the United States. Guenther, there's still time. People are dying for a third option. Vanka's not only does Cash App sponsor our favorite perfectly branded Formula One team, but they also make it easier for you to save money so you can do things that you love, like going to an F1 race. Boobies. Listen, to be honest, we thought that Cash App was just a way to send people money, right? You just send people money. Hey, Cash App me. Okay, I got you. But actually, it's a faster and simpler way to bank. You can start saving with as little as $1 with no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no account fees. Minimum balance requirements is crazy. It's just like, let me live. And Cash App lets you do that. And we all know that overdraft fees make no sense. Why are you charging someone if they don't have any money? Plus, when you deposit $300 or more in paychecks, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. It pays to get paid on Cash App. So go download the app today. Now back to the show.
Guenther, what was your legendary moment of the week brought to you by Sunoco?
The legendary moment of the week. Max overtaking Lando at the start. And letting Charles by as well. But hey, nobody saw him. Nobody knew he was winning anyway,
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
As we just said, so.
Yeah, really looked. We were at turn one for that. We were on the ESPN platform there, so we saw that live, and we were like, "Oh, he's got him!" And then
I was watching it on TV. Yeah, just guys.
It just looked like, oh my god, there's no room there. And then all of a sudden, Lando braked, and Max just kind of just went right through.
Just got traction and went.
He doesn't care, man.
He wants to win the championship. Yeah.
Throw it up the inside.
All right, we got some fan questions. All right, this is from somebody. When will you be running for FIA president? When will you be running? That's weird. There's like 200 of these, Guenther.
Matt just started the campaign, guys.
That's right.
I'm kidding. I made those up. Okay. At Ali Hikes, was Lando mad at you for asking about his 4 stars?
He wasn't mad, but he had an answer ready. Whoa. He had an answer ready.
Yeah.
No, that was in the past. Yeah, no shit,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Next time I ask him again. It's a legit question because he was poor on start. Yeah. He was getting better. Fair play to the guy. But on Sunday, back to square one.
Back to square one. Okay, this is from Good Luck Surf Podcast. Is Lewis over it?
No.
What'd you make of this? What did you make of Lewis? First off, qualifies P19 and then spins out. When was the last time you saw Lewis spin out during a race?
You know what he said? It's the upgrades. It wasn't him. It's the upgrades. No, I think he's struggling a little bit with the car in the moment, obviously, but I don't think he's over it. Otherwise he would say, I don't care, I spun out. But he tried to justify himself, obviously. George had the same car, and I think he went off as well in qualifying. But I think the Mercedes in the moment is just a handful to drive, looking at the two guys. And the tires, their degradation is pretty high as well.
Within this constructors battle, McLaren 544, Red Bull 504, Ferrari 496, Mercedes 344.
Yeah.
No, in the beginning of the year, I said that Mercedes. We both said Mercedes was gonna get fourth, and a follower of ours who's very wealthy said, "I'll bet one of my very expensive watches that you're wrong," and I should have taken that bet. Shout out to Mr. V. But
Mr. V, give Brian the watch.
That's right, Mr.
Yes.
Sorry,
It's Mr.
H.
Mr. H. Okay, Mr. H. Give Brian the watch.
That's right.
He deserves it.
This is from Dylan McDermott. Who is your comeback driver of the year?
It needs to be Liam Lawson, huh?
Yeah.
He came back,
Yeah.
I like it.
Okay, this is someone asked you what your favorite place. Jillian Wilson asked what your favorite place to eat in North Carolina is, but I'm going to expand the question. Where is the best barbecue that you've had? Is it North Carolina? Is it Austin? Because they got great barbecue in North Carolina. How does Austin stack up?
Austin stacks up pretty good. I think it's a little bit different, North Carolina barbecue to Texan barbecue, but they're both good. I mean. We don't make any publicity for restaurants here, huh? But I didn't go actually to a barbecue joint this year. I went to the Steiner Steakhouse, Steiner and Steakhouse, and I don't own it. I always go there. They always give me a table. They always give me a table there.
As they should. They probably get a ton of business off of that name.
They don't need any more. It's always packed, so they don't need me to make any business.
At least someone recognized you in Austin. The parking lot outside the hotel gave you no respect.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, he clumped me.
Yeah, you want to get anything off your chest about that whole situation, Guenther?
I mean, then I get a lawsuit if I tell him what I think of that guy. So it's a scam. He should go and try to find a job in life instead of scamming people which are just trying to do something in life. He should go and work.
Guenther got a boot on his car, and he was very upset. But because he's a mentally stable genius, he's maintaining his composure.
I was at the edge.
We saw. All right, this is from Miss Pac-Man. Guenther, have you ever played Mario Kart?
Yes, but I'm terrible at it. I played it with my daughter a few years ago. She doesn't play it anymore. I'm terrible at it. I played it when I was younger, but not Mario Kart. Super Mario. I was very good, with the little Nintendo. You don't even know what the little Nintendo was.
Yes, of course.
The N64
do you have a character
before
that feels...
Before that, the gray box.
Yeah, okay.
Is there a character that you identify with?
I don't remember.
Mario, Luigi.
It must be Mario. Mario's the coolest guy, yeah.
You don't feel like that's a harmful caricature of Italians?
No, it's all good fun.
You got a mustache like him. Nah, he's got a goatee. Actually, you actually look more like Waluigi. You know Waluigi?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, Waluigi would be
would be me.
Steiner.
Yeah,
Waluigi would be you.
Okay, this is from Francesca Plovin. Do you prefer sprint weekends or regular weekends?
Sprint weekends. I don't think that you finish.
Yes.
Yeah, baby.
That's right.
There's
what do you like about a sprint weekend?
There's always something going on Friday already, Much more exciting. Instead of gathering,
Yeah, if you were bored during FP2 as a team principal, I can't even imagine how bored you are now.
Well, I think part of the knock of the sprint weekends is that you don't the weekend's spoiled because what's who's gonna win, right? It's that's part of the knock is that when with the free practice you get the one race, but with the sprint. But look at this weekend.
It's completely
Max
different.
wins the sprint.
Completely different. Yeah, completely
different races.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also, strangely, I wanted to ask you about this. It seemed like in the sprint, Carlos had more pace than Charles. Charles was struggling to keep pace with Carlos, and then in the race, feature race, it seemed like it was completely turned around. Is that a small setup change or
could be a setup change? It just could be, he learned something in the sprint weekend. Being behind, just get more comfortable with the track, just something like this. But it is not a given that is boring.
Yeah. And the Ferraris were strong both days, and I just that leads me to another question. Mattia Binotto, your friend from the Cinquecento,
good old days, yeah,
from the Cinquecento, which is not a clown car; it's a real car. It is a serious automobile,
big one. Yeah,
he said that if he was head of Ferrari still, he wouldn't have. He doesn't agree with the Lewis Hamilton signing. That he thinks the Sainz Charles lineup is great. I mean, do you agree? Do you agree with him, or you go for Lewis if you can get him?
I mean, in the moment, I would go for Colapinto. I mean, obviously, I don't know. I mean, it's like there is always commercial aspects. I mean, Carlos is doing a very good job at Ferrari in the moment. You cannot knock that one. But maybe there is another plan behind. with Lewis coming in, that he takes him to the next level. As we see sometimes bringing a new driver in, just changes the dynamic in a team. As we are saying with Liam Lawson, a rookie coming, or almost rookie coming into Visa Cash Up, it's a good move. Colapinto coming into Williams is a good move. So I know that Lewis is not a rookie, but maybe he just, you have a new reference point, and maybe Charles and Carlos are overrated, and Lewis comes and he's better than Charles a lot. You don't know. Sometimes you need to mix it up. You cannot always have the status quo in a competitive sport, because there is then, everybody gets used to it. Everybody's comfortable. You don't push yourself anymore. It's all good, and that is how you go backwards. And sometimes you need to mix things up. But I'm in the opinion, Carlos is a good driver, and Carlos now going to Williams will show how good Alex is.
Who is the most galvanizing driver that you've ever seen in your career? Like, this guy came in and you're like, wow, like people are just kind of rallied around him and things have just changed, and just that sort of hiring makes a real difference beyond just the driving performance.
I never worked with him, but I think that was Michael Schumacher, what people tell me. That was Senna and Schumacher and Lauda. All these people, that is part, they don't have, it's not only the driving skills, also their personality, which carries people, which motivate people, and, which they just work hard.
Yeah. Lauda brought back Ferrari after he was retired. He was an advisor, and he brought back Mercedes too. He helped as an advisor even after he was done driving.
Yeah.
All right, we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you about this. This is from Troller Roll. This Toyota Haas news. What do you make of this new situation for your old team over there?
I don't actually know exactly how the deal works, because I know as much as you guys from public, what is public, so I don't know. Is it a sponsorship? Is there some collaboration with DMG in Germany, with the team which is making or competing in WEC, in the sports cars? So I don't really know the deal, and if they get money, fine. I think DMG, in the end, they haven't done a Formula One car for I don't know how many years, 15 years must be, if not longer. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, they can bring a lot to an F1 team when Haas has got Dallara, and Dallara over the last 10 years, they were good before. Over the 10 years, they grew. So I don't really know what the deal is, so I cannot comment on it.
Okay, but but there's been a lot of press around, that people have been saying that you guys didn't have a simulator. Or that your simulator was...
we didn't have one, no. I think they still haven't got one.
So what was Fittipaldi driving around all those years?
In the Ferrari simulator. They've got a commercial simulator, and at some stage we had the Dallara simulator, but never our own. And the Ferrari simulator is their commercial one, not what they are using, because by the FIA, you're not allowed to use the same simulator, because then you could use data from the other team, to make your car better. You're not allowed to do that. So Ferrari has two simulators, one for their junior drivers and one for the F1 team. Right.
So the thinking is that maybe that they could get a fancy Toyota simulator. That's the thought.
Could be, yeah. But they still need all the data from Ferrari for the engine,
Right.
Do you think that maybe this is the beginning of a long play from Toyota to maybe get back into F1?
Could be. Let's get in slowly, learn about it, and then make the move, instead of making the move a little bit like Audi's doing and then struggle, because right. Audi in the moment, obviously they changed management before they got officially Audi. So I think maybe they saw that one, but I don't know. Could be, and it wouldn't be a bad move from them, from Toyota, if they want to get in, get your feet wet, and then see when we make the next step.
Oh, yeah, this is actually a good question. At Hooray, it's MK. What's the weirdest driver habit you've ever seen?
No idea. I'm speechless. I've not seen.
You've never seen weird rituals or warm-ups or superstitions? Nothing?
Superstitions, they don't tell you, because then you're mentally weak if you've got superstitions. And you don't admit them. So, who was the guy which wore different socks?
I was gonna say there's got to be something with socks. I feel like all these athletes they have. There's always something about. It's something about the socks.
I don't remember who that was. I don't know who that was. Oh, different shoes he wore. I think different shoes, not socks. Because socks you cannot see in F1. So different shoes. But I don't remember who that was. That I find that quite weird. Why would we wear different shoes? Different color.
Oh, this is a good question. Would you ever consider wearing a handlebar mustache for the Austin next year?
I cannot grow it. I don't have any. I cannot grow. Otherwise, I would. Yeah.
So you don't shave this? This is natural.
This is all that I got. Yeah. This is all that I got. Yeah. I'm not like you. I mean,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
You just have a natural goatee.
Yeah.
This is not a stylistic choice.
No. This is a style.
Wow.
This is a style of. That's what's there.
It's the style of your genetics.
Of his genetics. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
Oh, interesting. That's an exclusive.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's going to make headlines.
Otherwise, I would have a big beard,
Okay,
right.
if you could grow any beard you wanted, if you had the genetics, if your beard wasn't mentally weak,
like Emerson Fittipaldi,
yeah, mutton chops.
Yeah, mutton chops.
You get mutton envy. You get mutton chop envy, Guenther.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that's right.
Get it too.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Mexico. What are you expecting out of that race? What are the things going into that race that you as a team principal had to be thinking about? Give us your Mexico preview.
Mexico is always a challenge. It will be a challenge for the cars which have got where the cooling system is at the edge, always because of the altitude. That is the biggest thing there. Most of the teams now figured it out how to do it, that you got a version, but you lose who can use the high cooling version of the car, get the most downforce on losing the littlest of downforce. You always can cool a car, but you lose downforce. Who can do that best? So it's a little bit of an unknown, but I think the big boys, they will be all in a good place. So I don't know. I still think the McLaren will be the car to beat the Mexico.
The McLaren will be the car to beat. Okay. Which McLaren's going to win?
I mean, if Lando can get the start right, Lando.
That's a big if these days.
If, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Okay, so Lando Norris with the potential win if he can nail the start. Matt, any nicknames for our man Guenther here?
He
ran out of ideas.
Steiner Ranch.
You know what I'm going to call, given that we were in Texas, I'm going to call you Gunny.
Gunny. With the Y in the end.
Wait, hold on. The sheriff. I have a question. Did you have any nicknames growing up? You had to have had a nickname.
No. I told you before. You just don't remember. I didn't have it.
Well, that was before we had rapport and maybe you didn't feel comfortable.
No.
What about your parents? Did your parents call you something? Did they have some type? Did they say, was it every time it was Guenther? Every time?
Yes.
Wow.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe you. This is
You're saying that I'm a liar. Yeah, I'm a liar.
I'm saying you're a politician. I'm saying you're a politician.
Truth.
Yeah. I'm training. I'm in training. A politician in training.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. If you were in trouble, would they call you by your full name?
Yes. What did they call you?
Well, I would be called Matt.
Right.
And I remember I used to pull my sister around. Like when she would like lay on a float and I would pull her around, so they called me Tugboat. Okay. And I always had a big head. Like my hats never fit on my head, so they called me Moose. I mean, I had a lot of them. Brian, did you have any?
Well, my family called me Brysky. Bry Guy. B Moles. Those are kind of the main ones.
I want to meet your family.
No, you don't.
Some of those weren't just my
exactly. They must be weird. Maybe
my dad didn't call me B Moles. I'll tell you that much. All right. At some point, I think there's nicknames in there that you're just not wanting to show. You're not wanting to tell the public. But we'll leave it there.
Nobody at school. Okay.
I bet, but I feel like you come up with good nicknames for people. So at some point, Guenther, you're going to have to come up with some nicknames for us. But that's for a later episode. Doesn't have to be for today. This is a great episode. We're going to be back next week with the Mexico GP. This is Vanka Hours. Goodbye, Vankas.
Goodbye,
Wankers.